back to the Patrick Reagan Show. Some good old Audio Slave coming back into this segment. This song called Revelations. Hey, that's exactly what you get on this radio show, Revelations. Revelations about freedom and liberty, ways of thinking and looking at the issues affecting this country from a viewpoint of the true American, original American values of freedom and liberty. You're listening to us here on the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network and News Talk 98.7 WOKI. I'm going to make a show host executive decision. I'm going to hold this story. I was going to do this segment, and I want to talk about this just for a minute that I ran across here. I know a lot of you probably heard about this story when it ran in New York Post by John Crudell about the census worker faking the numbers to make unemployment look better than it really was right before the last presidential election. One thing I think is interesting is how this story is running almost the exact same track as the one involving the IRS and the Tea Party nonprofit applications. Let me read real quick. Here's part of the column regarding this latest flap. Congress is now looking into the story meaning John Crudell, broke earlier this week about the census manipulation and the unemployment rate survey. One former census worker says he was told by a superior to fake data that went into the survey. The superior has denied it. This is the exact same thing that happened with the IRS and the Tea Party. The claim was made, and then superior at the local office denied it happened. The column went on to say the entire organization was a rat's nest run by political order takers who often bent rules. Complaints range from veterans not getting the job preference they were promised to training material being substandard and conflicting. And because workers were subject to very serious fines if they spoke out in public, few did. Same thing as the IRS story. Speak out and you'll be charged and fined. The people working in the offices in both these cases saw the abuse, yet decided not to say anything about it. The column went on to say many media organizations are falling back on the same old cop-out, that the former census rep was a rogue creating an isolated instance of manipulation, that one person in one office couldn't possibly move the U.S. unemployment rate. Again, it's not the whole system. It doesn't extend back to Washington. If anything happened, it was a lone individual acting on their own. Certainly nothing in the form of directions or guidance from the Obama administration. Oh, no, sir, nothing like that occurred. The column finishes up with this thought. Maybe there really was one rogue in Philadelphia, but was it the field rep or a supervisor who controlled a lot more surveys than just the one guy who cheated? Again, if you're awake and breathing during the IRS Tea Party scandal, you can clearly see the parallels between that story and this Census Bureau and its manipulation of the unemployment numbers to try and sway the election. Of course, a lot of conservative commentators have been screaming, see, you can't trust Obama, you can't trust the administration. Look, you can't trust any of them. This is what I don't understand sometimes. Why don't people get this? Is it because they can't deal with seeing a corrupt government for what it is? Are they afraid of losing their money, their check coming from the government? Do they just not care? For those people, let me remind you, you can't trust the government. It is just like any other living being. It is going to do what's best for itself. For a real good example, look at the government shutdown. The government was making it as hard on the citizens of this nation as it could, doing everything within its power to punish the citizens of this country for trying to demand the government stop spending so much money. We have whole generations of American citizens who refuse to see the reality of government, and a large part of the reason is because our government education system. Do you really think an education system run by the government is going to be critical of it? Do you think school children are going to be taught to distrust the government as our founders warned us to do? No, of course not. That would be like sending your children to a Christian school and thinking they'll be taught that following Jesus is wrong. No, they'll be taught Christian doctrine, morals, stories, and parables. Same thing in a government school. School children are taught that government providing for the citizens of the nation is a good thing, that they should be happy to pay taxes so that their hard-earned money can go to pay someone else's bills, that this country wouldn't be able to get along without a strong governmental presence. And anyone who argues against that concept, who tries to convince them otherwise, well, they're probably just some anti-government lunatic, or worse, a domestic terrorist. So be sure and report those types of people to the government so they can keep an eye on those weirdos. Now we have all these people who are incredulous that their precious government would lie to them. Oh, sure, it can lie to the Republicans or the Democrats, whoever's not on your side. Government can screw them over, that's fine. But wait, now it's screwing me. I support the government. I said this not 6 months ago. These people supporting and excusing all this, the government will eventually get around to you after it deals with the people who oppose it right now. All right, we're already up on the last of the Patrick Riggins Show here. Hey, look, if you want more information about us, go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Patrick Riggins Show, facebook.com/Patrick Riggins Show. Same thing for our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Patrick Riggins Show. You can get all of our archive shows there. And you can also email us at patrickrigginshow@gmail.com or drop us a card and letter here at WLKI. Hey, remember, liberty begins with you in your mind. Keep that in your head all this week. And then join me next Saturday afternoon at 4, where we'll be fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. Thanks for listening this week, and have a fantastic coming week.
Join us again next week for a solid dose of truth on The Patrick Riggins Show.